PM says AstraZeneca vaccine to roll out. CLRC begins consultation process. And Weightlifting Queen set to leave PNG shores.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Tuesday's news. Prime Minister James Marape officially launched the nationwide rollout of AstraZeneca vaccines today. The rollout is part of a vaccination strategy to combat COVID-19 infections.
Key partners of the government in the COVID-19 response all gathered to witness the official launch rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine to all parts of the country.
So thank you very much for the light at the end of the tunnel in as far as vaccine is concerned. It is totally your choice to take vaccine or not. Today, for our essential worker, I am totally privileged that we have vaccines now made available, over 100,000 of them today.
Prime Minister Marape was vocal about the importance of the 2 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine. He acknowledged that it's voluntary. The vaccination program will roll out under the COVAX facility.
Vaccination is one of our key strategies to ensure people who are vulnerable and people who are exposed every day in their work, especially the frontline health workers, are vaccinated.
The Prime Minister continues, the current conditions as a result of COVID-19 are such that has left many jobless and businesses closed down, while numbers of deaths has increased as a direct result. His words to the non-believers, COVID-19 is real.
The threat is real. We're doing our absolute best under extreme conditions, try to stop it from being spread through the NIPLA passing that now must be part of every Papua New Guinean's lifestyle and habit.
The government says it will invest in over 1,000 new ICU beds for hospitals across the country in the coming years. He says this is to ensure that patients receive proper health care that is needed. Gertrude Gabi, National EMTV News.
And the COVID-19 statistic updates in the country as of Sunday, May 2nd, 2021 are as follows. 11 new cases were reported in 4 provinces. NCD reported 3, Madang 5, Eastern Highlands 2 and 1 from Morobe province. The accumulative total of cases reported stands at over 11,000 with 1,379 cases active. A total of 9,773 people have recovered, with 6 new recorded deaths, bringing the total death toll up to 121. The number of tests conducted remains at over 93,000. PNG High Commissioner to India, Polias Koni, has provided a situational report on the COVID-19 pandemic situation in India, identifying marriage celebrations, elections and pollution as the main factors behind the spike in cases and deaths there. Speaking to MTV News via Zoom recently, High Commissioner Koni says the Indian government has put in place strict lockdown measures in which some Papua New Guineans still living in India, including 19 PNG High Commission staff, are adhering to measures closely with very limited movement between places. Our reporter Dennis Orera spoke to High Commissioner Koni regarding the situation.
Now, we've been seeing on international media news channels that about the situation in India. Of course, also on our MTV news bulletins, overseas stories, we've seen the situation there, but that's like seeing it from outside, but you are on the ground there. Just tell us a little bit about what's happening there, particularly in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Just give us a bit of an update there from your perspective.
Thank you, Dennis, and greetings to Papua New Guinea from Delhi. Firstly, let me say that India is a vast country with 29 states and 7 union territories. And of course, the population at the moment is 1.39 billion people. So you can see the extent of the people that live in India. And so in recent times, there's been activities which has exacerbated the virus. They've had a religious activity, what is called a Kumbh Mela, done along the Ganga River, where at least 2 million people participate. That happened last month. And there are elections going on in several states, the biggest in Bengal, where the election is taking place now, where you see multitudes of people participating in that election. And as well, during this time, when the situation is there, there's been marriages. And marriages are a big thing in India. So you see multitudes of people gathering. So that's one issue that has given rise to the rise in corona pandemic here. And of course, you take the pollution levels in a city like Delhi, where we have 21 million plus population living in this city. And so the environment within which we live in is also got to do with that, because when there is a cloud cover and the air atmosphere is tense, the people are congregating in that environment, then there is room for the spread. So that is the situation. And so when the wave came, when the second and third strand came, and obviously these movements of multitudes of people in India, then of course the spread came.
The West New Britain Provincial Health Authority completed its two-day workshop training recently. The workshop involved participants from selected health facilities in Kimbe Urban Clinic, Kandrian and Gloucester. The workshop also included facilitators from the National Department of Health via teleconference. A facilitator says with the AstraZeneca vaccines about to arrive in Kimbe soon, challenges remain. Helen Bowles says transportation and storage of the vaccine is a concern.
Long-running generator, give him all diesel fuel, preferably, but we must get him all this something in the start before the vaccine go, plus successfully implementation long this COVID program. So challenge the movement of the vaccine and transport again.
First of all, we don't even have enough vaccine to vaccinate our elder population. So how are we going to vaccinate the school children? So it is not even a logic thing. And also, in no country, they are vaccinating anybody below 18 years old. In India, they vaccinate only people above, only yesterday they opened up for anyone above 18 to register. But so far, they are vaccinating only anyone above 45 years old.
The Constitutional Law Reform Commission is in Mount Hagen for its first leg of the trip up to the Upper Highlands on a nationwide consultation on the inquiry to declare PNG a Christian country. CLRC Chairman Kevin Isifu said the collective views and opinions of the people will also determine the rules and regulations of other religions to practice their faith in PNG. Vasunatayama with this report.
CLRC Chairman Kevin Isifu says the findings and recommendations from the consultation does not mean other religions are illegal to practice their faiths in PNG, but will determine how they will operate. He said the main agenda is to review and amend Section 45 of the Constitution to clearly define it, which talks about freedom of thought, conscience and religion.
Basically to declare that those religions are, they're illegally operating, or the Constitution will ban them in this country. We are only going out and getting the views, whether those churches will operate or they will not operate, or how do they operate in the country. It is based on our findings that we announced doing.
The recommendation will also be based on a research CLRC has already undertaken, which examined the principles and application of doctrines under democracy, human rights, and Christianity. The combined research and wider consultation exercises will help redefine PNG as a Christian country and will not step out of the original intentions of our forefathers for the Constitution to uphold the interests and the rights of Papua New Guineans.
We are amending the Constitution, and the Constitution belongs to the people. So when we get the views, we will take it back to the government and as an agency that deals with reform and amendments to the Constitution. We will review them.
The CLRC teams have been directed to complete the consultation of this inquiry within 1 month. They have started consultations in the Momase and Highlands region and will continue to New Guinea Islands and Southern region. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more of the day's stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Department of Personnel Management Secretary Taya Sansan has pledged her department's support in addressing human resource issues in partnership with ECIPIC Provincial Administration. The Secretary was speaking during the official launch of the ECIPIC Corporate Strategic Plan 2020 to 2023. The Strategic Corporate Plan entails important aspects of human resource capacity development aligned to the national plan.
The 3-year East CIPIC Provincial Administration Corporate Strategic Plan 2020 to 2023 is to address key development agendas. It was officially launched in Wewak last week. Speaking at the event, DPM Secretary Taya Sansan says the Corporate Strategic Plan entails important aspects of human resource development capacity, and it is in line with the PNG Vision 2050 and the 10-year East CIPIC Integrated Provincial Development Plan 2018 to 2028. It is targeted at addressing skill gaps and capacity enhancement through professional skills development for capacity building through the development of provincial human resource development strategy. The Secretary says the plan is timely as it will address challenges linked to skills gap and capacity issues in the public service. She says HR capacities in terms of knowledge, skills and competency is a challenge, and the government is committed to ensuring a highly skilled and qualified public service. The Secretary also highlighted HR issues identified by her department through ongoing monitoring and audit functions. These include weak HR systems and head of HR lacking necessary skills and knowledge to provide relevant HR policy advice. These limitations resulted in incompetent HR units. The Secretary says to effectively deliver this plan, the East CIPIC Provincial Administration must have a highly skilled and qualified workforce. NDPM will support the East CIPIC Provincial Administration in developing its human resource capacity. The Secretary also announced that a total of 465 positions to an annual budget cost of 18.6 million kina have been approved for the province, and the provincial government will be able to fund only 347 positions, with 118 positions to be implemented in 2022 and beyond. Rayon Lakingun, National, EMTV News.
New Ireland Governor Sir Julius Chan is not deterred by his referral to the Ombudsman Commission. In a short statement, Governor Chan said he had nothing to hide following allegations of gross abuse and official corruption. He stated that the points concerned are dead issues and have been dealt with on the floor of the Provincial Assembly. This involves accusations of failure to complete acquittals for over 400 million kina royalties of Lehir since 2017 and breaching of certain sections of the organic law. Governor Chan described the move to refer him to the OC as revenge by Namatana MP Walter Schnobelt and Kavieng Open MP Ian Lingstaki. The Morbe provincial government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Broadcasting Corporation that will see shared costs for the provincial radio NBC Morbe. Communications Minister Timothy Masiu said it has been a challenge maintaining the provincial radio stations, and MOUs like these will assist operations. The Morbe provincial government has pledged $500,000 to commence this MOU.
NBC Morbe has been around for nearly 5 decades, serving the people with entertainment and, most importantly, information. Over the years, the facilities became run down. In a small ceremony yesterday, the NBC signed a memorandum of understanding with the Morbe provincial government, which will hopefully give financial support to the provincial radio station.
That means by mitubla time best mitubla long, make sure that that person in that village or anywhere else for that matter, I must give him information. That's why it's important long you share him this responsibility now.
The uniting factor, the uniting me over there. Another important something about information dissemination is very important through long NBC. So bunglo imi minister long here long to yes long NBC must stabilize.
In 2018, NBC Morbe's building was condemned after it was deemed unsafe for staff. It was reopened last year after being renovated. However, electrical faults continue to be experienced and a proper studio is yet to be installed. According to NBC's Managing Director, Cora No, these issues are being addressed.
The studio and particularly the console should be a bit smaller, and that will cost less but still do the same kind of job. So that's why we've been holding back a bit to get those kind of consoles in and then also refurbish NBC Morbe, similarly for Western as well.
Through the MOU, the provincial administration can utilize this service to disseminate information to the people of Morbe. Communications Minister Timothy Masiu said in return, the provincial government will bear some of the cost of repairs, maintenance and upgrade of transmission equipment. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Ley.
Apart from Morbe, the West New Britain provincial government has also signed an MOU with NBC, presenting 400,000 kina for a new medium-wave transmitter for the province. NBC New Ireland will also be receiving financial support from the member for Namatanai and Minister for Forests Walter Schnorbelt, followed by an MOU. Morbe's Provincial Education Board has suspended 3 principals over allegations of mismanagement of school funds. 2 suspensions were later lifted by the PEB last week, but 1 is still in force. This is the first time school principals were suspended by the PEB over allegations of abuse of school funds in Morbe.
Morbe's acting provincial education advisor, Keith Tangui, said Salamua High School Principal Dusty Imaita was suspended after allegations of mismanagement of funds was made against him by the UN Gulf MP Ross Seymour. Imaita was suspended by the Provincial Education Board 2 months ago. A team of 6 inspectors were sent to Salamua High School to investigate the matter following directives from the Secretary of Education Department, Dr. Ukekomba. After a week of investigation, findings showed that the school's funds were acquitted and there was no proof of mismanagement.
Only that infrastructure is ailing, the buildings are deteriorating, school toilets are not working well, they're using bush material toilets. So infrastructure is one thing that we need to look at to help Salamaua. So the onus is on the District Development Authority, DDA of UNGAF to ensure, to assist Salamaua.
Menyamnya Secondary School Principal Chris Nani was another principal suspended by the PEB on March this year to facilitate investigations into allegations over misuse of funds made against him by Menyamia MP Benjamin Philip.
There was no fault finding him. The investigation reported to PB. Everything is 100%. So where there's nothing going against the allegations made by the honourable member for Menyama and the CEO.
Last week, Friday, the PEB lifted the two principals' suspension and they've returned to work. However, the suspension for Lays Bugandi Secondary School principal, Tony Gao, will be extended to another 3 months following an investigation that showed mismanagement of school funds over a period of 7 years.
Gross mismanagement of funds. 3 different bases have been working there. Checks have been paid cash from 2015 without any records. No school learning improvement plans, no sleep. Dormitories have deteriorated. Toilets have gone bad to worse. Teachers have been collecting school fees and putting them into their own pockets. Security companies have, doubled up in that school without the permission of the PEB. And principal has got no records of TFF from 2015, GTFS from 2000, no record. No record at all. So as soon as 1.5 million in school fees was paid into the school account, within no time that money went out because open checks, pay cash were written by the principal to everybody on the street who was providing a service, but no record to show who paid, who was paid, how much was paid, what service. Those things are not in there.
Mr. Tangui said the principal will be charged by the Provincial Education Board. They would then refer him to the Police Fraud Squad to be further investigated.
This will be a lesson to any principals, any teachers, any Board of Governors, or even the Board of Management for primary schools and elementary, that if you don't keep a record of public funds, you're liable to be persecuted. You're liable to be under investigation because that is public fund.
Julie Badui, OA, National EMTV News, Ley.
Morabe's Education Division received more than 7 million kina from the government through the Education Department as government tuition fee subsidy for over 2,000 schools in the province. The acting Provincial Education Advisor Keith Tangui said the money would only be released once acquittals from the respective schools are released.
That money will be used by schools to help them spend materials for students' learning, teachers' use, maintenance and other work that needs to be done at a school level. So with that kind of money, they can also buy hand sanitizer, set up water tanks, masks for the students to make their learning conducive and free from fear. So that is a lot of money that has been paid to our schools in Morabe, and we believe government is committed to ensure that our schools are getting good funding.
The owner of a young gaming business in Port Moresby that closed due to COVID-19 says the absence of government support during the restrictions killed their Port Moresby operation. Toro Gaming, an online gaming startup, was forced to close after it could not generate money for the rent it was paying in Port Moresby.
Toro Gaming showed a lot of promise when it began 3 years ago. The online gaming company brought together on average 60 people during its daily gaming sessions. It was a business that showed a lot of promise and was, before COVID-19 restrictions happened, showing a lot of signs of growth.
Maybe in a couple of years down the track, it'll be a different story. But for now, I don't think it's a good situation for SMEs that are trying to grow.
When the government imposed the COVID-19 restrictions, the business struggled and eventually had to close its Port Moresby shop in Garden City. Owner Henry Robert Jr. said closing the business was a hard decision.
So obviously, it was a tough decision. And that has mainly to do with the fact that I started the business from the ground up, so basically from nothing.
The closure of many businesses has prompted many SMEs to call for government intervention, or at least a policy of intervention in future crises like COVID-19. Scott White, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2775, $0.3654 Australian dollars, $0.3777 New Zealand dollars, and 29.49 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee, cocoa, and copper closed lower. Palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National EMTV News continues with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. With Mother's Day just days ahead, a taxi service in NCD will be offering a special service on that day. Kenny Trans Services will provide 2 hours of free taxi transportation for mothers in Port Moresby. According to the owner, this gesture is to appreciate mothers.
Mother's Day, which falls on the 9th of May, is a special event celebrated in different forms around the world, a time we honor and appreciate motherhood. As families gather to celebrate Mother's Day this coming Sunday, Kenny Trans Services has taken the initiative to provide 2 free hours of taxi service to mothers residing in Port Moresby. This initiative was introduced in 2016 as a token of appreciation to mothers. Now the mothers are advised to come here at the Connie Tigers Oval in Waigani, where they will select any Kenny taxi parked here to do their runs for 2 hours.
All get the taxi by line up here stop. So only come that choose one taxi belong to go walk a little run long. COVID-19 too now to lockdown this like bad. Lo this la thing lo mi lo mama am stop yet.
Kenny Trans Services is one of the many registered taxi business that operates in Port Moresby. KTS began its taxi service in 2012 with 6 cars. Despite not having an office to conduct its administrative matters, KTS has firmly expanded over 8 years with more than 200 cars currently providing taxi service.
So that time I started company lo Kenny Trans taxi service lo 2012. People have been start one time 6 per taxi. And right now I'm like a month up 200 plus people live stop. I didn't look any taxi. Now me play plan lo go on top long again.
Balder Ranpi, a passionate Kenny taxi driver, says he is more than happy to provide these 2 hours of free taxi service to mothers.
2 hours free, and maybe give more. Whether I like work on something within 2 hours, and maybe I'm almost long, save him all freely.
Suli, National EMTV News.
The European Union, through World Vision PNG, has funded 2 civil society organizations within Ley to a pilot project titled Respect Yourself, Respect Others, and Let's Stand United. The project targets out-of-school youths within Ley District and aims to limit violence-related incidents and crime rate. World Vision will be working in partnership with the Guinea Goada Foundation and the Morbe Provincial Government to roll out the project.
The World Vision National Director Heather McLeod, MPG's Deputy Administrator of Social Services Robin Bazenuk, signed the contracts last week for European Union support to the civil society organizations. The contracts were also signed by the directors of the 2 selected CSOs, Ward 2 Ley Urban Youth Association Incorporation and the Anis Foundation Incorporation. Each will be receiving a grant of 70,000 kina from the European Union in installments of 10,000 kina. The project coordinator, Bernard Nulai, said the EU has outlined strict regulations for regular acquittals of the funds pay installments.
so very emphasis so much on the reporting system and how they will acquit them funding, because they like to know that the money is spent properly. So we have to conduct another 2-day session for them on how they will do the reporting and acquittal.
Respect yourself, respect others, and let's stand united is a pilot project in Morobe province. It aims to limit violence-related incidents and crime among youths in Ley. World Vision will be working in partnership with the Morobe provincial government and the Guinea-Guada Foundation to roll out the project.
And our hope for the future for ourselves and our children is that violence will not be the first option. Violence won't be an option, but that we will live with love. And as the good Lord says, they'll know we are Christians by our love. And what does love mean in a country like PNG, in a community like Ley, down to the smaller communities and to families?
Members of the selected CSOs will be identifying pressing issues within their community as part of some activities under the project. One of these activities will involve skills development. This activity will be facilitated by the Guinea-Guada Foundation. Charlene Airy, National, EMTV News, Ley.
Phone House this morning revealed a new addition to their team for the next 2 years. He's well known in PNG and across Australia, and at some point even became a household name in many communities here in the country.
I'm really excited to be joining the Phone House team.
Phone House has just announced rugby league legend Jonathan Thurston as their new brand ambassador. The announcement was made today at the new Phone House outlet that was opened 4 weeks ago.
When we started looking for a new ambassador for Phone House, JT was our first choice. Of course, we all know that he's one of the most recognised NRL players within the last 10 years. So while everyone knows and loves JT in PNG, we also wanted an ambassador who was a great person.
Thurston, who dialed in from Australia via Zoom, was jubilant about having to work with Phone House and once again have a good reason to come back to Papua New Guinea.
Brand ambassador for Phone House is something that I'm really excited, something that I'm looking forward to, and like I mentioned, to be able to get up there to the communities is something that I'm really looking forward to. So, Phone House, the #1 leaders of phones in PNG. And the work that they're doing in the community really aligns with my personal brand as well.
NCD Governor Poas Pakup, who was also at the launch this morning, said a champion player representing a champion company is the right combination.
Especially at this time when, we've got the pandemic, the global economy is slowing down, but with this type of combination, and investing in the city and in the country is the right combination. So we look forward to you coming to Port Moresby.
Thurston will serve as brand ambassador for the next 2 years. Phone House General Manager Damien Ames said with JT on board, they aspire to continue their community support activities amidst COVID-19 and others as they look to expand their reach within the country as well.
And we have plans to open 5 new stores this year in Mount Hagen, Kokopo, Vision City, Madang and Rangeview. With JT now part of the team, we will work with Jonathan to continue our work within the NWTL group and Phone House throughout the community as we focus on our school programs, medical assistance and community projects as well.
Once this COVID barrier is all done, I'm really excited to get up there and meet everyone.
Shukai Sports is next. All the details after the break.
Shukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The journey to Tokyo Olympic begins for Papua New Guinea's Queen in weightlifting as she prepares to leave PNG shores for Melbourne, Australia later this week. Dikatoa, now 36, says she's committed and confident this will be her 5th Olympic experience.
The COVID situation hasn't been easy on Team PNG athletes' preparations towards the Tokyo Olympic, which is set to go ahead in July this year. PNG's weightlifting queen, Dikatoa, is relieved to be back in the swing of things as she prepares to travel to Australia for training.
We've been at a village setup training, but it's not the same as when we are overseas. So we're grateful also to the Australian government, PNG Olympic Committee and all the other sponsors for helping us in getting us through this difficult period. And also we're finally able to travel to Australia to do our last preparations for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games.
Toa will be based in Melbourne at the Pacific Regional Training Centre for the next 8 weeks.
Move on to Melbourne for our final preparations with our coach and mentor, lifetime coach, long-time coach, Paul Koffa.
The International Weightlifting Federation cancelled the Oceania Championship due to the COVID pandemic. This left Toa and Morea Baru one less competition of the required 6 in order to qualify for the Tokyo Olympic. PNG Olympic Committee say they are quietly confident both Toa and Baru are set for Tokyo. That is, upon IWF and International Olympic Committee exemptions in consideration of the COVID situation. According to IWF's continental points system, Toa and Baru are ranked highest in their weight classes from Oceania. From their position in the region, Toa is confident of making this her 5th Olympic experience at the Tokyo Olympic.
Since Morea and I are at the top in our region, so we should automatically go in. We are confident that we've made it through. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone for this preparation, for this last preparation. So we're confident that the IWF, which is the International Weightlifting Federation, and the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, has agreed on both of us to be exempted due to the situation that we have. Will be going into the Olympic Games.
Kilawani, Trukai Sports.
It speaks quality of a team when their players make it to the next level in their sporting careers. The Hela Wigman team may have lost 7 of their best players from last season to the SPPNG Hunters, but chairman of the franchise, Andy Hatra, says it speaks of the quality the team has produced.
Last year's Digital Cup premiers, the Hela Wigmen, proved to be a formidable force in the competition. Their premiership victory was rewarded with 7 players making the SPPNG Hunter side for this season. The team management of the Wigmen are happy with their players making the Hunter side.
We had 8 players selected for SP Hunters after our 2020 grand final against the Lace Next Tigers. And from the 8, we have 7. Of which the latest inclusion was Gilmore Paul, who joined the SP Hunters. So from the 17, we had to lose 7.
The management and coaching staff of Charlie Wabo and his trainers worked hard to build a strong team last season, and that resonates in the players that have transitioned through into the Hunters.
We are happy because the 7 players that have left for higher duties with the SP Hunters have not disappointed, which is a drain for us, but which is also a bonus for us because it only reflects the quality and the standard that we have.
The standout players in the Hunters formerly of the Wigmen are Norman Brown and Samuel Yegip, who in the last 5 matches proved decisive in their attack. Norman Brown has proved to be a strong finisher with 2 tries on his debut, while Yegip has been wreaking havoc up the middle, scoring 2 tries in 5 matches with 11 tackle breaks. He has made his former teammates and franchise proud.
With the debut Samuel Yengip has done so well for himself. Norman Brown has done well with 2 very good games. Judah Rainbow has stepped up well, and there are others within the playing group that will join the team.
Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
I'll look at the weather forecast in the southern region. Fine and cloudy in Port Moresby, cloudy periods in Daru, cloudy with a few showers in Kirima, fine, although cloudy in Alotau and partly cloudy in Popondetta.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for Tuesday, the 4th of May 2021. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing and good night.